Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today we have a very special San Francisco 49ers news and rumors video. It's special because we're 1-0. Yes, you guys watched the game yesterday just like I did, and here we are, 1-0 after the big win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, there are some costs to the win. We're going to dive into that, starting off with Tevin Coleman. Although, before we even get going, 49ers mailbag coming up later this week. Use the hashtag 49ers. Get your questions in on the comment section down below. I'll answer as many as I can. So go ahead, get your questions in after, before, whenever you want during this video using the hashtag 49ers. But again, let's jump right in with Tevin Coleman, who did suffer that ankle injury early on in the Bucs game. Was looking pretty good before he got injured. Remember, he had the big run off of the, the catch and run left side that went for, 25, 30 yards? He looked good running the football. The Niners as a whole didn't run the ball very well, especially after he left. But the ankle injury is reportedly looking like it's going to be pretty not good. You know, not going to be able to play for the next couple of weeks, depending on how long it goes. We don't really know the details just yet, but he did leave the stadium in a walking boot last night. So now, the question that then becomes, are you going to stick with Matt Breida, stick with Raheem Mostert, and just leave it at that? Or are you going to go to the waiver wire, maybe make a trade? What are they going to do to fill the void that is going to be inevitably left by Tevin Coleman? I would suggest, in no particular order, one, let's explore a trade for Melvin Gordon. I know, we talked about this before on the show, you know, Melvin Gordon this, Melvin Gordon that. I would still make a phone call to the LA Chargers and be like, all right, what would it take? Because again, we've talked about this. If it's a fourth, if it's a fifth, if it's a third, go ahead and make the deal. And then this team with an elite running back like Melvin Gordon, you know, he's not Zeke, obviously he's not Barkley, still one of the top 10 running backs in the league, I think could actually really help the offense overall in the running game. But if you don't want to do that, you want to go really cheap, here are some guys that are still available on the waiver wire, starting with Jay Ajayi. Remember, won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, injury prone. That's why he's not been signed by anybody, but maybe make a phone call, do a workout. Chris Ivory, Doug Martin, who is a former Buck, was cut by the Raiders in training camp, and Jacquizz Rodgers are all still out there. There's a whole list. If you just Google, if you want to see and you pick and choose who you want of free agent running backs, but these are the kind of the ones that I would potentially look at bringing in. Again, depending on how long Coleman is out for, I think you're going to have to bring someone else in. You can give the workload to Breida, that's fine, but you want a third running back because it's Mostert, it's Breida, one more, it makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. Plus, as a team, whenever you, depending on when you watch this video, yesterday, in the game against the Bucs, they definitely did struggle running the football as a whole. So, I would like a trade for Gordon. I think the Coleman injury kind of warrants it, but we'll have to wait and see what they do this week in terms of the waiver wire as well. Question, what should the Niners do at running back? Should they sign a running back? If you want them to, let me know which one. I know there are a lot of Matt Breida fans out there, which is fine. You want Breida to be the workload, get him in your fantasy leagues, by the way, a little tip there, then that's fine. But if you want to go get somebody, let me know who you guys are thinking about going and getting. Next, Kwon Alexander. Definitely don't like that hit on Jameis Winston, and the NFL didn't like it either because he was, of course, ejected for that late hit and will be fined by the NFL. The concern here is it going to just be a fine? Or could you potentially see a one-game suspension as well, meaning he would sit out the Bengals game? Here's how the possible fines would technically work out. If they're going to use the illegal use of the helmet, it's $28K. If they go to hit on a defensive player, it's $28K. Or late hit, it'll be about $10.5K, $10,500 in terms of fines by the NFL. I don't actually know Kwon Alexander's late hit history or helmet-to-helmet history. You can't Google that and find it out. And let's be honest, he was a Buck, his entire career, so wasn't really watching him as a Buccaneer until we traded for him, right? So, I don't know if he's a first-time offender. If he is, it should just be one of these three fines. They probably get him for about $20,000, go in between a hit on a defensive player and a late hit. That's kind of what they did during the preseason for helmet-to-helmet. But if he is a multi-time defender, you could actually see a scenario where he could be suspended for the game against the Bengals, who looked a lot better than I think we kind of realized that they would be against the Seahawks. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But hopefully he's just fine and he's able to go week one. As a whole, though, the penalties for the Niners, way too many. You talk about the two ones that resulted in Kittle's touchdown passes being brought back. Just sloppy play in terms of the penalty flags. They've got to clean that up. My question for you guys here, which you guys can weigh in on down below, did the amount of penalties concern you at all yesterday? Because remember, elite football teams, they do not get penalized. Average football teams really don't get penalized that much as well. So we got to see how we're going to clean that up here going forward. All right, moving on. How about Richard Sherman? Had an excellent day yesterday. He had his first interception in over a year, right? No interceptions last year for Richard Sherman. How about this? The secondary held Jameis Winston to a day low for all 27 quarterbacks that played yesterday. How about, or 26 or 25, excuse me, because of Rodgers and Trubisky. But out of them all, the worst QBR in the league. Jameis had a 7.3 total QBR. Richard Sherman, after the game, decided to call out some of the haters for doubting the team. Maybe me, maybe you. We'll see. Here's what the quote says. As you listen around and you hear people writing you off, you just hope they keep writing you off. I hope they are also writing their wills because I'm at your neck. Oof, I'm at everybody's neck this year. All right, well, I like the fire there. Listen, did we write off Richard Sherman, or were we just honest with ourselves? Because I've talked about Sherman a lot on this show. I remember this offseason I said, if Richard Sherman can get back to his normal self, if Richard Sherman can play, better than 80% of his health, then he could be good. I don't think that's, coming at his neck, right? Challenging him or doubting him. It's just like, hey, Achilles injuries are hard to come back from. You did not do a good job of it last year. Let's see what happens this year. And so far, so good. The secondary as a whole has looked a lot better. So I don't know if he's calling me out, he's calling you out, but I think we all as a whole should hold hands and sing Kumbaya because the secondary of the 49ers looked a lot better. And that is very important going forward in this season. Question, what impressed you guys most from the 49ers win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What was the most impressive thing? Was it Garoppolo after the interception, or really actually before too, because he had the touchdown passes that he should have thrown? Was it the defensive line? Was it the secondary? What was the most impressive thing? Again, for me, secondary for sure. Yeah, Jameis is a bad quarterback, but they still have weapons over there in Goodwin and Evans on the outside. They did a good job of holding both of those guys in check. How about a weapon here for the 49ers as we move on here in our news and rumor video? Dante Pettis. There's something going on with Dante Pettis, and we don't quite know what. He did not see the field until midway through the second quarter of yesterday's game, and when you go through the final snap count analysis, he played 2 snaps. 2, that's it, like 2 snaps, and Jalen Hurd didn't even play because he's still injured out with the back injury. So it's not like he was, down on the depth chart. They could have used him, but did not choose to do so. 1 catch for 7 yards. I mean, what do we do here? And I don't even think Kyle Shanahan knows what's going on because Shanahan said after the game, quote, hopefully he continues to earn more time out there. I'm not sure what is going on there, but something is up. Now, does that mean he's injured? Something is up? Or is that he needs to earn more time on the field? Was he that bad this offseason, this preseason? We talked about it on the 49ers report, right? We talked about it every single day that Pettis was struggling, but I didn't think he was that bad. I mean, I heard that he was not good, but that bad is very, very surprising that you keep a guy like Dante Pettis if he's not going to play at all. Now, they'll probably up it here, but apparently he's got to prove himself. But overall, Dante Pettis only seeing 2 snaps in a game. The Niners could have used him out there. It's very surprising. Could it be an injury they're not saying? Sure. But it looks like it's more of a, hey, he struggled during preseason. He struggled during training camp. Maybe he's not had a good attitude about it. And Shanahan wants to, send a little message to be like, hey, you got to pick it up in practice or you're not going to play. But as I said before, I was hoping Pettis would be the leading receiver on this team this year. Off to a bad start, but hopefully he's able to get back on the field against the Bengals coming up here next week and kind of prove to everybody, including the coach Kyle Shanahan, that he deserves to be out there. Because let's be honest. All right, I mean, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, the Niner receivers yesterday were pretty bad. Deebo Samuel, only 3 catches. Kendrick Bourne did nothing. Richie James had the 1 touchdown catch, which was fine, but he was basically wide open. Other than that, nothing. Zilch. So hopefully they're able to get better as a group going forward. Remember, 49ers mailbag coming up here in the next couple of days. Use the hashtag 49ers. Write your comment down below, and I will answer it in a mailbag video again over the next couple of days. It's going to be a lot of fun. We always do the mailbag videos here on the 49ers Report, so you guys get your questions in. I always scroll down. I try and get to as many as I can. We normally have so many that I can't do every single one, but tip, get your question in early. Odds are you're going to see it on the 49ers Report, okay? Just a little between you and me, right? Get it in there, all right? We'll see. Okay, quickly. Let's have a quick look around the NFC West in case you were just watching the Niner game. Here's what happened with the other teams in our division. The Rams had a 30-27 win over the Carolina Panthers, but I will say this. Arguably one of the worst games in Jared Goff's recent history, at least all of last year. How about 186 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and they had a lot of chances to lose this football game. Now, Gurley played a little bit better than I think a lot of us expected, 14 carries for 97, but without late Cam Newton interceptions, the Panthers really had a chance to climb back into this one. Also, side note, Christian McCaffrey ran all over them as well. So the Rams look good, but also not that great against a, pretty average Carolina Panther team. The Cardinals yesterday had a 27-27 tie. Yeah, a 27-27 tie against the Lions, which is a little bit iffy. They were horrible early on. I was watching this game. They looked awful. Kyler Murray at one point was like 9 of 29, and they had an 18-point deficit. But in the second half, I should say, they did rally. Murray looked a lot better, a lot more comfortable throwing the football, and found Larry Fitzgerald early and often. Murray finished with 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, but no loss, so technically no one yesterday in the NFC West technically lost, because final team here is the Seattle Seahawks, who looked really rough. Like, the offense we knew was going to be a struggle, but they really struggled against a Cincinnati Bengal team that no one thought was going to be good this year. Eked out the win 21-20 over Cincinnati. Remember, at CenturyLink, too, up in Seattle. So Wilson was 196 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and DK Metcalf had 4 catches for 89 yards. The takeaway here from the Rams, the full look-around of the Rams, or not the Rams, but all the teams in the NFC West, is no one really dominated. Now, the Rams will probably figure it out. They'll probably get better, but the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. We all know that. Cardinals, I guess they're going to get better, but Kyler Murray's going to be up and down. We don't expect him to be, super good this year. And the Seahawks might be a little bit worse offensively than we fully expected, so bodes well for the 49ers as they currently sit tied right now atop the NFC West with the Rams and the Seahawks. Now, again, next week, Bengals coming into town. We'll see if we get the Bengals that played well against the Seahawks or the Bengals that are the Bengals that we expected them to. And quickly, I said coming into town, we're going to Cincinnati for that game. All right, there you go. It's all the news and rumors that we have for today, all the time we have for today. We'll see what happens with Kwon Alexander. Hopefully no ejection. And I'm very curious to see as the coaches begin to talk offensive coordinators, coaches begin to talk to the media this week, what they say about Dante Pettis. Because again, I'm still scratching my head if he's injured or if he just didn't play well enough to warrant more than 2 snaps on the field. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But overall, it's a happy victory Monday here on the 49ers Report as we, of course, are 1-0. Let's go beat the Bengals. 2-0 sounds good before having the home opener against Pittsburgh. We'll see what happens. That is all the time we have today here on the Chat Sports 49ers Report. Be sure to leave your comments down below for the 49ers mailbag coming up here in just a couple of days. I'll answer as many as I can. But again, for Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.